the Nashville Predators. This is a team that might be exciting for the first time ever.
Yep. Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, we'll see. But last year, I mean, they were pretty solid last year. Fourth in the Central. In terms of underlying stats, eighth in Corsi for percentage, sixth in expected goals for percentage, and eighth in scoring chances for percentage at even strength. Those are really solid numbers at 5v5. Their 5v5 save percentage was eighth at 912. UC Saros actually had a down year, and they still had a really solid save percentage at even strength. Their shooting percentage, 20th in the league at 9.27%. And their power play percentage was 15th at 21.6%. Obviously, there are some pretty decent numbers here. Nothing super eye-popping, but I think the reason why they're exciting is what they did in the offseason. So we'll talk about key departures. Yaroslav Askarov got dealt. UC Saros signed a new deal. Askarov said, I would like to play, please. And they said, not yet. And he said, well, then I'm out of here. And so he got dealt to San Jose. We'll see if that was a good move for him in his career. We will see. Tyson Barrie left in free agency. I believe he has a PTO with the Flames. I feel like
right.
I saw today. Yeah. And then Jason Zucker left for Buffalo. Key additions, though. Steven Stamkos, the belle of the ball of free agency this year, went to Nashville. And Jonathan Marchessault, not far behind him in terms of premium free agents. He was at the top of a lot of boards. Also signed in Nashville. And Brady Shea, I think he was maybe the top defenseman in free agency as well. So they really went all in on free agents this year.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the Predators? I think there's a lot of people that are really excited. Should
really
we temper our expectations here, or are you all in on this team?
Yeah, I don't know about all in, but I'm definitely excited. Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault, that's exciting as hell. I'm not sure if Marchessault is going to be on that top power play. His power play production has left a little bit to be desired, even on Vegas. But Stammer's someone I'm really curious about, and yeah, I look forward to seeing your projections on how these guys fit into the team.
For sure, man. Let's talk about the goaltenders, though, first. UC Saros, we mentioned, had 64 starts last year. I believe that was first in the league. He had a 915 even strength save percentage, pretty solid. A little bit low for him. He's usually right near the top, but you just don't know what to expect with goalies. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Scott Wedgwood came over from Dallas. 28 starts at a 907 even strength save percentage. I mean, he's shown moments where he can hold his own, but he is going to be a true backup in this situation. So I don't think, unless you need him for a spot start at the end of your week or something, that you're going to be picking up Scott Wedgwood in your leagues. All right, schedule quirks, my friend. Why don't you take us through those for the Preds?
15 back-to-backs. That's tied for third in the league. 27 off nights. That's tied for 19th. They got weeks 22 through 24 for their playoff schedule with 11 games and 3 off nights. And weeks 23 to 25, they got 12 games with 4 off nights.
Yeah, so nothing really eye-popping here. Pretty solid across the board. Their playoff schedule is decent. Not a ton of off nights, but I mean, they're not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt you having Nashville Predators players in your playoff weeks. That is for damn sure.
Oh yeah.
Let's go to our power play projection here. So I have Filip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, and Roman Josi as locks here. You mentioned you're not sure that Marchessault is going to get playing time on the power play. I would agree. I do think that he will get some, but I think Gus Nyquist had some really nice success on that top unit last year, and obviously 5v5 with O'Reilly and Forsberg. So I do think that I don't think they're going to completely write him off there. So I think I've split time in my projections between Marchessault and Nyquist. I don't know. How do you see this playing out? Is there anyone else? Are there any dark horse players that you could see getting into that last spot on the power play?
Yeah, I'm not sure about who would replace. I'd agree with all of these, and yeah, I think it's a battle between Marchie and Nyquist, and I know we know Nyquist has that chemistry with everyone on the power play. So do you really want to mess with that? I guess we gotta wait till training camp opens up to see where we can properly evaluate Marchessault. If Marchessault it does get power play one, if training camp has him on power play one over Nyquist, I'd be much more interested. It's just the question, you know.
Yeah, the thing about power play chemistry is it's interesting. They're it's going to change drastically the look of this power play because Stamkos, I think you have to give him that left flank because that's his wheelhouse. Filip Forsberg has been playing there, so you have to move him around. The other thing about Marchessault is he's a high volume shooter. So is Stamkos. So is Forsberg. So maybe you want Nyquist being there as a playmaker as opposed to three guys that are just going to shoot the puck. Yeah, the look of the power play is certainly going to be different. There could potentially be some growing pains here at first, just because it's so drastically different. But I mean, the skill is crazy. Like this also could potentially be one of the best power plays in the league. Like that's the other factor. Like you've got Roman Josi, who also is a high volume shooter for a defenseman, one of the highest. But yeah, I think there is potential for this power play to be gangbusters. So
Totally.
I'm excited to see how this looks. This is definitely a team I'm going to be watching carefully for sure. My forward projections, here they are. Gugsy, why don't you walk us through them here?
Here we go. Ryan O'Reilly, 23 goals, 46 assists, 69 points. Very nice. Filip Forsberg, Apples and Geno's darling. We love this guy. Filip Forsberg's going to get 42 goals, 47 assists, 89 points with a whopping 314 shots and 138 hits. Beautiful for a bangers league. Goose Nyquist with 16 goals, not 76, that's 16 goals, 42 assists and 58 points. Tommy Novak, 21 goals, 36 assists, 57 points. Steven Stamkos, he's projected for 35 goals, 41 assists, 76 points. Jonathan Marchessault, 29 goals, 38 assists, 67 points. And Luke Evangelista, whose aunt is a supermodel, is going to get 20 goals, 18 assists, and 38 points.
Can you elaborate on that? I didn't know this.
No, yeah, Luke Evangelista's aunt is like a mega supermodel from the 90s, like the Cindy Crawford era. So, yeah,
wow.
There you go.
I did not know this. Is she married to Brendan Shanahan? Because I think is Brendan Shanahan not his uncle as well?
Is he? I didn't know that. Linda Evangelista is the name. If you want to Google Linda Evangelista, she was a big shot. Let's see who. You know what? I'm curious now. Who's Linda Evangelista's husband? If it is, I'm gonna be shocked. The hockey community.
Yeah, let's check that out because I do know that there's some relation to Brendan Shanahan. I could be wrong about that, but interesting.
Looks like she's married to Gerald Murray, who I don't know who it is. It's not Brendan
Shanahan. Don't know who that is. No. That is not Brendan Shanahan. So they are related. Interesting. Yeah, okay. That fascinating. Yeah. I did not know this. I guess I wasn't I was a little young for to be up on all of the 90s supermodels at in that time period. So I don't know how I don't even know how old are you, Gugsy? I have no idea.
I was born in 90, so I'm 34.
Okay. So you're slightly older than me. I'm a 92. So we're in the same we grew up in the same I feel like all of our pop culture references are probably pretty similar. So
we grew up on the Simpsons.
Not as much of a generational divide as there is between Blake and Nate. All right. So of note, I do think Tommy Novak is a guy to be keeping an eye on. Doesn't do a lot peripherally, but could potentially play with Stamkos and Marchessault. Forsberg, obviously, I'm huge on. Ryan O'Reilly, I think some people might be surprised that I haven't projected that high, but I just see him getting primo deployment still. He really ran with it last year. and he proved that he still has gas in the tank offensively. So I don't really see much changing for Ryan O'Reilly. So I think that he's one guy that's going to stick on the power play and stick with top line deployments. So that's why I've got him so high. Yeah, I guess let's move on to defensemen. So I've got a few guys projected here. Why don't you walk us through these hot shots?
Yeah. My second favorite defenseman to draft, Roman Josi, with 22 goals, 59 assists, and 81 points, coming in with 294 shots and 143 blocks. Brady Skjei, or Shea as some people call him, will come in with 13 goals, 31 assists, and 44 points. And the big beefy banger Jeremy Lauzon, only 5 goals, only 11 assists, only 16 points, but that's not what you draft him for. You get him for his 368 hits and 111 blocks.
Yeah, that's a lot of hits. That is
yeah.
a lot of hits for Jeremy Lauzon. Yeah, definitely be keeping an eye on him. He's the new Radko Gudas. So yeah, I'm definitely considering him in Bangers Cats leagues at the end of my draft. Roman Josi, I mean, I think he's just the best. I love Roman Josi. He's gonna be your number 2 guy off of your board in terms of defenseman. And then Brady Shea, a fairly positive fantasy player. He'll either be a streamer or a guy that you could have as your 4D or potentially a guy on your bench that you're slotting in. So, like a guy that's shown that he can do a bit offensively, even without a power play role. So that's a guy that I'd be watching carefully too. I know that people are kind of feeling a little down on him just because his contract is so big and he's probably not going to live up to that contract. But in terms of fantasy, like if you're not in a cap league, it doesn't really matter. So I do think Brady Shea is a guy that could prove his fantasy relevance this year, as he has previously. My top 3 targets are Filip Forsberg, first of all. So I wanted to mention that his Yahoo ADP is 20.7. So that puts him on the back half of the second round in normal leagues. Would be all over that. I think he's probably more of a early second round pick. Apples and Geno's ADP is 15. That's kind of more where I expect him to go. But people are on to Filip Forsberg now. I don't think you're going to catch anyone by surprise. But if he is there at 20, absolutely, you should be all over that. Roman Josi is my next guy. Obviously, I just talked about how much I love him. His Yahoo ADP is 25, so that actually puts him at the start of the third round. And if you're getting Roman Josi in the third round, that's amazing. That's incredible. So I think that if you're catching people with their head in the sand, that's a guy to be considering too. And then Ryan O'Reilly, obviously, I just talked about how I think he's got some really good opportunity. His Yahoo ADP is 174, and his Apples and Geno's ADP is 168. If you're fading centers, this guy could push for 70 points, and if you're getting him at that point, that's immense value for Ryan O'Reilly. So, yeah, definitely a guy to keep on your radar, and a guy that you don't necessarily think of as fantasy relevant, especially the last few years that he had in St. Louis. It just kind of fell off the map a little bit. So any comments on these guys, and do you have anyone else that you're targeting here on this team?
Yeah, just on Forsberg, you mentioned that Stamkos is probably going to take his flank position, and the team does have a lot more shooters. Does that worry you at all? Because we are investing a lot of draft capital in Forsberg this year. With the makeup being changed in this way, do you think he'll get a little bit less points, a little bit less goals because there's more people who need the puck more than he does nowadays?
I'm not terribly concerned. I still think he'll have a similar situation on at 5v5, and that is pretty major. I also do think that he's still going to be, no matter where he slots in on the power play, he's still going to be a principal guy. Like he's still going to be going to have the puck a lot. He's going to be a target. Obviously, I think there is some concern about what, as we mentioned before, some growing pains for this power play. But I think Filip Forsberg is dynamic enough of a player to figure it out. So I'm not terribly concerned there.